Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching it from. This is the pilot program of Tech Made Simple. My name is Michael Mngenji, and I'm going to be discussing over here with my boy Munya. And the whole goal is just to give you some information on how the world is working according to technology. So, a little bit of background. My name is Michael Mngenji. I've been in the tech industry, specifically IT security, for the past 20 plus years. And I'm going to give you a little bit of what I know. I'm always getting asked, hey, can you teach me? How can I get into this space? Or maybe you don't want to get into this space. You want to know how it affects your future, how it affects your day to day life, basically. So, yeah, so let me have my guest, Mr. Munya, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Munya, and I am Mike's friend. And really, I'm just here. I'm not an expert when it comes to AI. I will be sitting with him because he always talks about AI every day. So, and I'm always asking him questions. So, really, I'm just here as an anchor to kind of, keep the conversation flowing. And I'm going to ask him some of the questions that people have, which is what I assume you guys may have the same kind of questions that I ask them when it comes to AI. But I'm basically into merch, tech, but not AI and different other things that I do. But today is about Mr. Mike and AI, and I'm all ears.
Yeah, so before we actually go specifically into AI, we're using acronyms. AI is artificial intelligence. I'm going to go deeper into that a little bit later. First of all, we're just going to talk computing, and my specialty, as I said, is information security. So, for you to secure the information, there's really three key points before you even talk about the technology. The first key point is confidentiality. The next one is integrity. The next one is availability. So I'm going to just go a little bit deeper into that. Confidentiality is trying to make sure that your information is confidential. It's kept to the people that need to know it. So a lot of times in these jobs, you're dealing with information that relates to uh, personal medical records, social security numbers, dates of birth. These are things that can be used to apply for credit cards. In any case, you don't want your health information being out there. So that's confidentiality. So the next one is integrity. Basically, what that means is the information that you see from any systems or any system is what it's supposed to be. So, an example, you go into your bank ATM, you put your card in, you check your balance, it shows $0, but you know that yesterday you deposited $1,000. Basically, the information that's showing on the screen is not what's supposed to be there. So someone has to have temper with that. So the next key point is integrity. What it means is the information that you're supposed to have is not altered. It's supposed to what it's supposed to be. You go into your bank, you know that a deposit has been made, but you see that your bank balance shows like $1, and you know that $1,000 is supposed to be there. That's integrity. That means the information is not true. I'll go a little bit deeper on that, but the next one is availability. Fortunately, some of these things we take for granted. We live in North America where information is readily available. So it may not even be information, it could be the power. You're trying to go to the bank, they don't have power. So these are the things you need to account for. So when we talk about information security, a lot of people think about hacking, some guy in the basement typing. No, an example of availability, eventually you got to be thinking about things like even generators, the power going out. Okay, what if the servers go down? You actually need to have a separate server that keeps the same information. That's availability. That's the information security faucet of it. So before I go further, I would like to know if you have any questions based on what I've said so far.
Okay, so all of that makes sense uh, to me. I hope it makes sense to y'all. This is basically the basis of everything CIA, right? Like you
Correct.
said. But sometimes we get lost. Like a person like me, who's the ordinary person, we get lost into the jargon and everything. So
Exactly.
I want to know, okay, where does the actual AI fall into my life and and what I'm doing, and how does it affect my job? How does it affect my day-to-day living? And given all of that, why do I need to know all of that? And what does it mean to me as a person that's walking on the street?
So again, before we actually go into AI, again, AI means artificial intelligence. So this is computers actually trying to make decisions like human beings. The early days of what's supposedly was AI was your Google pages, your Wikipedia. You could type a search and it'll give you an answer. This is merely a regurgitation of information that's out there on the internet.
Right.
So artificial intelligence now is actually making decisions based on a collection of information. So my first example is you could ask an AI system to predict the weather patterns in Mexico in the next 10 years. So these systems now go and get information that's been collected over these years, almanacs and so forth, and basically make an informed decisions with things like global warming and so forth. It can not, I would say accurately, but it can adequately predict the conditions of a place based
Right.
on the information that's out there.
It's just like in math, we call it like probability, right? So it's like this is just a calculation based on the results of what has been. Give the information that's so basically it's a collection of information that the weather reports from the past 20 years, or I don't know what kind of information to work with. So basically in June, over the last 20 years, the weather was such and such degrees between this and that. So it's likely based on this information,
Right.
probability mathematically it's going to be this, right?
Yeah, mathematically, that's a lot of information that's been collected over the years. Like I said, almanacs, farmers used to collect this information,
Right.
if you remember that. NASA gathers all this information. General people write down this information, but weather is kind of a very difficult phenomenon to predict. But we've gone to the point where we can accurately, not accurately, there's, like you said, probability. The probability based on the information we had, more than likely that's. But what I'll do, I'll kind of simplify it a little bit. I know you're a health fanatic, right? And you can feed in information based on mortality, diets, and so forth, and you can almost accurately predict when the person is going to expire.
Yeah.
So, taking aside things like accidents or acts of nature, first of all, you feed in your age, your habits. Do you walk? Do you do you drink? Do you smoke? What kind of foods do you eat? And it can accurately, pretty much predict where you're going to. So does that make sense to you? Or?
It makes a lot of sense because I think what people worry about
Right.
is the accuracy of information. But I always say, like right now on the internet, as you know, I know you're an academic, I'm an academic myself. Certain websites are not credible, right?
Right.
It's like even when you go to certain wiki pages, they say something, they say somebody's date of birth is this, that, and the third, but it's not accurate. So
Correct.
you need to go to certain websites. So already the internet is full of misinformation already. So
Exactly.
with AI coming into place, we are probably, it's not accurate, but it's maybe it's gonna have a lot more accuracy than what we have now. Arguably, because I don't know. You're the expert, but
So-
would you say that's correct?
So what's happening, the main thing or the main key point, what all these systems are trying to get to is a trust model. You need to be able to trust the information that's coming out of the systems without too much doubt. So there's an element of bias.
That's what I was going
And
to get into.
yeah, so bias based on the information that's coming in from the early days of computing or computer systems, there's a principle that they call garbage in, garbage out, GIGO. The more accurately you feed the information that's coming into the system,
Yeah.
the more accurately you get the results.
Right.
So to make sure that doesn't happen, really, we now need some sort of policing. And in IT terms, that not even IT terms, in general terms, business terms, we call it governance. So
Stop it right
yep.
there. I'm gonna stop it
Go
right there
ahead.
because that's gonna be the next topic, governance. This here is an intro today talking about AI, an overview of AI, and I don't want to get too much. That's what's the next topic gonna be. But we want to just get into let's go back to the
Definitely.
bias, right? Because I'm thinking if we feed in the computer, like, do we even trust who is feeding these computers all this information,
Right,
and do we even trust the information that's coming out? Because I think to the everyday person like you and me, you probably wondering, okay, if they feeding the garbage, where they getting all this information?
Right.
Can we trust it? Because the thing is, AI is taking people's jobs and it's calculating every this, that, and the third. Because at the end of the day, we can't help it because AI is already controlling our lives. So as you know, when people don't understand stuff, they tends to be an element of fear,
Fear,
which I
exactly.
have because I really don't know too much about it.
So that's really one of the key points that's happening these days. AI is not really taking people's jobs. It's making things simpler. So throughout history, there's been things that made things simpler. So let's start with fire, for example. Hey, there was a time people were eating raw meat, you just cut it up and eat it. So fire, you didn't need that much teeth. Our teeth actually evolved because of the
Because of the
discovery
cooking
of fire.
process.
We used to have canines, we used to have these big molars because
Yes, sir.
you need to chew these raw nuts. But with
Like
with the invention of
I
fire,
ain't gonna
you know,
curse, but you needed to chew the meat like a. I ain't
yeah,
gonna
exactly.
curse. So this ain't that kind of podcast.
With any technology, take a look at tools like knives. Now you can cut up things, and it takes me now to the Industrial Revolution. So in England, when the cotton mill, the gins, or even these plowing machines were invented, in essence, it took away jobs. But what really happened? People had to retool, relearn, and move, like they say nowadays, move with the program. So it's not taking away jobs. It's just a different way of doing things.
So this is why this is very important, and this is why this podcast is very important. Y'all need to subscribe because what you're talking about, see, it's basically because nothing is new under the earth, right? Nothing is new under the sun. Either way, what he's saying is, when you explain it like that, I can understand that we've been through this journey before, and it's going to be the same thing because a lot of people are under the impression that okay, everything is going to be computerized, and if you know, like it's already computerized, so we don't know what part of human element is there, so we don't even trust it. So it brings a lot of skepticism with it. So I like that you
In day
subscribe, y'all.
in day-to-day practical lives, though, we're getting to a point where cars can, in most cases, drive themselves.
You talking about cruise control? Nah,
No,
that's
no,
something different.
okay,
that's
actually,
something different.
funny-
Cruise control was the
Fu- fu-
early thing.
Funny thing, cruise control was a very early adaptation of like very basic AI.
No way I involved in that.
But very little. You had to know that but we're not gonna go there. Let's. Most people now. I'm not sure who does know the car named Tesla. They feed it with
Everybody know
information based on maps, based on speed limits, based on what a car looks like, what a human being looks like. So when you put it in driving mode, it can pretty much navigate for you. The earlier versions, or even nowadays, you still need to be able to touch the steering wheel for it to activate. But
They
that's
give you that beep, like you gotta put your hands
that's
on the wheel.
more of a liability issue because if I'm going to go into the liability, the reason why we don't have like that fully self-driving cars is we don't have the laws or the regulations to determine liability as
I like that,
Yeah.
and that's just as much as you're gonna go in because we're gonna
Exactly.
get more of that next time if they subscribe. So
Okay,
don't give them too much on that.
No, again, day-to-day interaction with AI, your websites, you go to your health insurance site, you're trying to find out why this claim didn't go through or what's happening with this, you can simply type into a chat box, it'll go into the database, but that's more of an enclosed database for the company. It goes in and based on the information that's there, it'll tell you, oh, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. Or you can type in a health condition, hey, I'm noticing I have this. We, at this point, don't encourage that because you still have to go see your doctor, but you can have an informed decision based on the information you put in.
Man, our Google search be scary.
They
I don't
don't,
recommend that.
they say don't Google your symptoms because, hey,
Who?
you will start
Trying
getting
to tell
scared.
y'all.
So now talking about data and correlation. There's a good example that I can give you. Example, they fed into computer systems data about ice cream
Yeah,
sales,
yeah.
and they fed into computer systems data about shark attacks. They saw a correlation based on time. This is happening around between May and August. Then, if you like a math person, you can conclude, hey, because a lot of people are eating more ice cream, people are getting attacked by sharks. But these things don't have nothing to do with each other. Guess what's happening in the background? It's summertime. Summertime, people eat more ice cream. Summertime, people go to the beach a little
People
bit
gonna
more.
go in the water, surfing and all that good stuff. and
But
swimming.
if you, this is where logic comes in, because I've had arguments with people like, oh, because of this, it means this. It's never the case. There's so many variables that come into play. So according to what you put into the system,
That's what you
get. But
That's what you're
don't.
gonna
I know we don't have a lot of time, but before you get scared, we'll go more into AI and its practical applications. You use it every day, your phones, your TVs, and so forth. Yes,
and so forth. So I'm gonna stop him right there because he got a lot of information. So basically, what this channel is about, y'all gotta tune in and y'all gotta subscribe. This channel is about explaining AI so it makes sense to you because you have to learn more about it because AI will affect what you got going on every day. So this is an opportunity for you to learn more. Subscribe and follow us, and then there it is. But thank you, sir, for all of that.
Thank you for tuning in. It's
There it is.
all right.
All right.
So
Peace. Hey, we gotta do that little thing.
All right.
All right.